Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to Rankers Ice Tigers Draft to Glory My NBA here in NBA 2K26. So last episode, if you did not catch it, we had the season simulation, and this team is still improving, which is kind of a surprise because I kind of expected still to stay the same, basically, in a way, like still finish with a really good season, of course. But we managed to win up last year's season, which last year's season obviously was fantastic. But this year we managed to pick up one extra win. We probably could have picked up more, but the team did have a little bit of losing trouble near the end of the season. So we did finish 72-10 on the year, which is definitely another really good NBA season. That's technically, I think, tied for the second best season in NBA history. So we have some really great seasons as of late. Like if we go to our last few seasons going into this playoff run, of course, as you can see here, 71-11 last season. The year before that, we were 68-14. The year before that, 64-18, and that's when we originally started getting really good. Because the first year that we were above 500, we were only 42-40, and then we started going up by like 20 wins, which is pretty insane. So this team is looking really good, and there is going to be a little bit of probably turnover in the offseason, it seems like, because there is some people that are up for renewal that are going to cost a lot. Obviously, I'm going to do everything I can to bring them back, but there is a chance we might start losing some players on a roster, which is not great. But the good thing for us, like I said, is we do have a really solid roster on paper. Like you can see, obviously, our starting rotation is filthy as it usually is. Our bench options did get better this year, and that's probably why our team has improved, because you can see Bridges is a 77. We also have Goodwin, who's technically a little bit injured right now, but he's usually an 86, which is really good. So I am pretty impressed with how this team has done this season, and I'm hoping that we could maybe pull off a back-to-back this season, because if we win our second straight championship, that would be pretty awesome, because I think this team could turn into like type of the team like Golden State was, obviously, with Curry and all that, what OKC probably could be like with the SGA. So I think our team could definitely be that type of dynasty roster, and I'm hoping that's the case. But if it doesn't, obviously, it's not the end of the world, but it would be still kind of cool to take our team from draft to glory to full-on dynasty. But obviously, we need to keep re-signing the same players and hopefully getting some good luck with some of our draft picks that we also have. So with that said, let's get your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll get into this first-round matchup with the Houston Rockets. So the first and only comment is from Nick Barons OC, who says it's going to get boring with all the winning all the time, LMAO. And yeah, that's one thing that's a little bit concerning, obviously, with winning a lot, is I do find it when, like, basketball, when Golden State was winning a lot of championships, the way OKC's playing, obviously, right now, too, I kind of find it boring when the same team wins the championship all the time. But if it's this type of mode, obviously, I don't really care if we're going to win a ton of them. It'd be kind of interesting to see players retire with a lot. But in real life, I definitely don't like repeat champions, which is kind of funny. So hopefully our team can repeat, but obviously if this was in real life, I would probably hope for a different team if I was watching the NBA myself. So anyways, before we get into this matchup, let's show you guys again what Houston's looking like. Houston's kind of an interesting team because last year they were not very good at all. Obviously, the years before that, they were a 50-win team and over 500 and in the playoffs a lot of the years. So they have had some pretty good players, and they still have a really good player in Mr. Simon Lydon, which you can see is a 96 overall. And then his other guys that are also starters are really good too. They did trade for Evan Mobley, which was a huge addition for them in the offseason. We saw them trade, I think it was like the first overall pick to acquire Mobley, but Mobley's a huge addition to the roster, basically to give them more scoring. As you can see, he had 17.3 points per game this season, and then obviously Lydon, like I said, he's a beast, almost 25 points per game this season, and you can see his rebounds is the thing that's a little bit scary, 12.4 rebounds per game. You go to Mobley's averaging around 9, so they are a very good rebounding team in that sense. They have also Finley, Grant, Johnson, and Shepard, so not necessarily the best supporting cast, I guess, maybe around these two guys, but they do still have a really good starting 5, I would say, and also starting 6 if you want to collude the 6th man. Bench options, you can see, though, like, they have some good depth here, too, a little bit, but I'm not too sure how these guys simulate, really, like Livingston, Johnny Furphy, there's Baldwin, Price. Like, they have some good options down here. They do have an injury to Okan Baruch, which is kind of nice for us, because obviously he would make their depth even stronger, so I don't really know necessarily what to expect. I kind of feel like the Houston Rockets could be one of those type of teams that go from being obviously a playing around team to obviously going really far, which is kind of scary because you can't really like say that the playing round teams are really bad, because last year Charlotte went from basically playing round all the way to the finals to lose to us. Meanwhile, a couple of years ago, I think as well, Dallas was a playing round team. They managed to sweep us in the first round and get themselves, I think it was to a conference finals. So these playing round teams are quite scary, and that's why I'm a little bit nervous to go up against Houston, even though our team had such a great year. So hopefully Lydon's not a huge factor, but obviously containing him and rebounding him is probably something we drastically need to do. So I'm hoping that guys like Bishop could do really good on the glass, and then hopefully we get good scoring again from obviously Evans, Wright, Menko, those type of guys. And then when Goodwin returns, that could be a huge thing for us and maybe give us a good win in the series too. So with that said, obviously we have home court advantage, so hopefully we could use it to our advantage, and hopefully we could find a way to get off to a good start this playoff run and build off last year's success. All right, let's get to game number 1 on home court. We're going to keep the team the same for the time being, but obviously once Goodwin returns to back from injury, which should be in the next day or so, he might be back for next game, we'll readjust the rotation accordingly. So let's see what happens here in game 1 and see if we could find a way to contain Lydon. Like I said, he is the main thing we need to do, is contain him and not let him get an opportunity. It's telling me to give more minutes to Evans right now, but I think Evans already has his minutes assigned to him, so I think it should be fine. Washburn, it's saying give less minutes to, but I think it's fine the way it is for the time being. We'll see how game 1 plans out, but obviously we'll readjust the minutes once Goodwin returns, like I said. So anyways, let's set this down to normal speed, and let's see what we do here in this first quarter. Hopefully we could get off to a good start again like last year. First quarter underway against the Rockets. Can we get off to a good start here? Obviously, in the past, we've had some offensive troubles, but also our offense has been fantastic, so I'm hoping that we could find a way to, like I said, contain Lydon on the glass, especially because that's usually where he's super effective. Probably getting those second chance points, which is something we need to definitely contain. So seeing if this team could build off last year's success is something I think we need to find a way to be able to do. So at the end of the first quarter, it's going to be 30-27 in favor of the Rockets. So not a bad first quarter, only down by 3. And it's kind of not necessarily low scoring, but pretty even, I would say. Rex has already dropped 16 of our 27 points. That's insane. Everybody else is 4 and below. So Rex is right now looking like a machine. He's looking like he did when he won the MVP a few years ago. Obviously, this year was Evans that won it. But Rex is absolutely crushing it right now. Guys like Carroll aren't really doing a lot. Westbrook hasn't done a lot. So I would like to see those guys step up a little bit more, obviously. But so far, Rex looks like he's going to be an absolute unit here in this playoffs or just in this game alone. Rex has also already hit 4 3-point shots, so he's probably trying to go for a team record, I guess, in terms of 3-pointers hit or something like that. But he's been really good. Obviously, we need Evans to step up here, though, obviously, if we want to win, too. All right, let's get through the second quarter and get through this first half and see if we could get that lead. Let's at least keep it close if we're going to be trailing, though. But so far, it's been the Rex Wright show for the most part, so we need other guys on the team to step up, too, because it can't just be Rex the entire night, or else we won't find a way to win, so looks like we're starting to find our offense a little bit, as now both teams are trading the lead a little bit. All right, so that's at least better. Looks like maybe we're getting some scoring from some other people, as now we have a bit of a lead. We're starting to try and build up it a bit, but obviously it's still like a one-possession game. As we wind down to the second quarter, now they have taken that lead back, but we take it right back again. And it's back and forth right till the end. And at the end of the first half, it's actually going to be tied. That might be the first time I've actually had a tie after the first half. 55 apiece. We outscored them 28-25, so a little bit of a lower scoring second quarter, but at least our team has the tie. That was better than the first quarter, I guess. Rex has already have 28 points. He dropped 12 more points in that quarter, so Rex is doing a lot of the legwork for this team. He's already hit 6 3-point shots, and then he's got 10 for 12 on field goal percentage. Holy crap, man. So Rex is absolutely killing it right now. 17 less points for the next best guy, which is Evans. Then you have Semenko and 7, and then everybody else is below that. So I need more out of our starters like Bishop. I need more out of Carroll, of course, because he's getting basically almost outscored by the other Carroll. And then I need, of course, Westbrook to step up because he has no points so far. And he's 0 for 6 from field goal percentage, which is not very good. So Yeah, I need a couple of those guys to definitely step up in the second half. Like I said, we can't just rely on Rex Wright to win this game. I mean, maybe we can, but I need some other people on the team to step up. You can see our field goal percentage is not very good, but our three-point percentage has been, and then obviously our free throws have been. So I guess it's technically the three-point shooting of Rex Wright that has definitely given us a chance to win this game. So anyways, let's get to this third quarter, see if we could get that lead, and hopefully we could build up a good lead. And like I said, hopefully get scoring from other people, not just Rex, because Rex looks right now like he's going to be a machine all playoffs, but maybe this is the only game he's going to be like that. So if we play like this next game, and then Rex doesn't play great, our team might end up losing. So let's see what happens in the third quarter, see if we could build up a bit of a lead here. Let's see what happens, because this has been quite the close game pretty much all night. So at this point, it might come down to an overtime scenario, might come down to a last play type of scenario. I'm very interested to see how this game actually develops as we go on here. As we're trying to build up our offense, it looks like as we have a bit of a lead here. We have a 10-point lead. Now we're starting to run away with it in this third quarter, but obviously they're trying to come back again, which they look like they're doing a little bit. But it looks like we're at least having a good third quarter here compared to earlier. And it's close still, though. And at the end of 3, if we get this last play done, there you go. It's going to be 87-82, as that was a pretty decent start to the quarter, and then obviously it became a bit closer again. Like, I like that we had a 10-point lead at one point, but now it's only a 5-point game again. So we've been definitely getting better as this game's gone on, but obviously we can't have those periods where we don't really pick up a lot of points. And Rex has already dropped 37 points now. God damn, he's going off every single quarter so far. Rex is absolutely feeling it. He's only 6 for 10 from 3-point percentage. I mean, that's good, but he's definitely slowed down on the 3-pointers, but 13 for 18. He has been putting up a lot of shots. And then we have Evans on 22 points. Menko's on 8. Everybody else is below that. So I still want to see more from Bishop, like I said, more from obviously this Carroll, but at least we're getting kind of carried by Rex Wright's performance right now. So we kind of need everybody else to step up in this fourth quarter. Looks like Evans at least had a good third quarter. So if Evans can have a good fourth as well, that will definitely help this team in terms of securing the victory. Or else we're going to be heavily reliant on Rex the rest of the way, basically. Looks like Carroll actually already fouled out, which is not great. So Carroll fouls out with 6 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists. So I don't really like that he fouled out already, because I guess that's why other guys are going to get a little bit more playing time. But yet it's not great for Carroll to foul out in the before the fourth quarter basically starts. So anyways, fourth quarter, let's see what happens. We're up by 5 points only. Can we find a way to lock this game down, get some more offense in, and basically lock down the rest of this game? Fourth quarter underway. Can Rex continue to add a lot of points? He's been dropping at least 10 points, it seems like, per quarter. So maybe he's got a 40-point game in him. Maybe he's got a 50-point game. As this game is close again, we're trying to make sure that we do not let them get too close to us, because they're within a few possessions, but we're still managing to pick up points. And now they've taken the lead, but we get it right back again. Oh my goodness, this is one of those games that is a bit scary, and you don't know how it's going to end. We're trying to build up a lead, but they're trying to stick with us. We're in late in the game. We're only up by 3 right now, as they've outscored us in this fourth quarter, and we still have that 3-point lead. Have a 6-point lead with 1:05. That's actually pretty big for this point. Let's see what happens. This little bit of simulation. We're up by still 6 points. We're up by how much now? Technically 5 points. We're up by 3 with 30 seconds to go. Come on, guys. You got to lock this down. Let's put this down to slow sim speed, because we're right near the end of the game. Let's do a little bit of sim. That's going 4 seconds at a time. Still up by 3 points with 11 seconds to go. Can we hold them off? 5 seconds to go, still up by 3. Will we hold them off? Yes, we will. Yes, we will. That was a dramatic game. We win by only 1 possession, basically, but that was quite the game. They outscored us in the first and fourth quarter. We outscored them in the middle quarters, and we barely escape. And from that headline, we already know that Rex Wright dropped 44 points. So Rex is basically the difference in that game completely. Obviously, I'd like to see other people scoring, but Rex goes completely off. Plays 41 minutes with 44 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. So almost a triple-double. Does also pick up a steal and a block, which is great. He was 16 for 22, 7 for 11 from 3-point range. Yeah, that's a really great game from Rex. And then Evans dropped 34 points. So The two of those guys combined for 78 points out of our 123. Semenko looks like he had a good fourth quarter as well, 17 points. And then Westbrook and everybody else was 6 and below. So, like I said, I'd like to see more from Westbrook, Carroll, and Bishop. But as long as a couple of our starters are doing good, we could still win games. But I'm curious about how good we're going to do once Goodwin's actually back in the lineup. So, that is a strong game in terms of three-point shooting. Field goal percentage-wise, it looks like we were a little bit worse than they were. And in free throws, we actually got more trips to the free throw line, which probably helped us in terms of securing that game. So, yeah, that's an interesting first one of the series. Definitely an interesting one. Was not expecting Rex to drop 44 points, but I'll definitely take it. And like I said, maybe Goodwin will be back for this next game, which will definitely help things a bit with the offense a bit too. Looks like he's not ready yet. Maybe he will be ready by the time we get to this next game. Let's go to Simcast again here and see if he's ready. Is he back now? Let me go to the bottom of this list. He is, I think, because he has him in green. So we should be good to put him back in the lineup, which means we're going to take all those minutes away from Washburn, I think. And then we're going to give all those minutes back to Goodwin. We need to get him up to 20 minutes, so we're going to have to readjust this accordingly. But Goodwin is going to move up into our lineup a little bit here to the 7th position, of course, like he normally was. Who do I want to drop minutes on? No. I don't feel like any of these guys deserve a drop in minutes. Let's drop Carroll's a bit, maybe. We also got to drop Bridges down to 11, I guess. So that will help us get Goodwin back up to 18. We'll drop Lloyd's down to 7. Actually, we don't even need to drop it down to 7. Maybe I'll put it down to 8 and then give a couple more minutes to Goodwin there. And Carroll could be on 8 as well, which gives us 6 more minutes to basically put onto our starters. So that's what we'll probably end up doing because Evans needs to have around 40. So let's get Evans perfectly to 40. Even though technically Rex Wright was the better of the two players in that first game, but... There we go. We are adjusted. Goodwin will be back for the game, which is great. And I don't know how he's going to make an impact, but I hope he does make a bit of an impact in this game. So, not a bad first game. I actually didn't take a look at how... can I take a look at the box score from the first game? Yes, I can. Okay, perfect. What I wanted to take a look at is how good Lydon did. So, Lydon against us had 32 points in that first game, and Johnson dropped 20. Mobley dropped 18. Grant dropped 17. So, looks like they got some pretty good starting scoring. And then, of course, Lydon dropped 13 rebounds. So, yeah, we need to find a way to contain him a little bit better maybe. But it was a close first game, but we managed to beat them, which makes sense. But like I said, the Rockets are still kind of an underrated team. It does say Goodwin is currently injured, but it showed him in the green in terms of the health. So I don't expect him to be bad this game. I think he's good enough. So let's see what happens in the first quarter of game 2. See if we can build off that tight first game. First quarter underway. Let's see what happens in this one. Is this one going to be a close game as well? Or is this one going to be one where one team kind of runs away with it? I feel like this entire series is going to be relatively close because both teams are pretty well balanced. The Rockets are definitely a tougher team than they might appear to some people. Like I said, even though they were technically a playing round team, I definitely think, obviously having the likes of Lydon, Mobley, they're definitely more underrated than they would actually appear. So I do expect this series to be kind of tough. And at the end of the first, it's going to be 39-29, so we've built up a 10-point lead after the first quarter, so that's a lot better than last game's first quarter. Like that start, of course, but hopefully that maintains through the rest of the game. And Carroll's already dropped 16 points. Holy crap. Okay, so Carroll's now doing basically what Wright did last game. So Carroll's off to a fantastic start. He knew that he had a bad first game and he fouled out too early, so he decided to drop 16 in the first quarter. We had Semenko on 8, Evans on 7, and then Goodwin, Bishop on 4. Nobody else has a point up to this point in time, even Rex. Rex is a little bit of an inconsistent player at times, but he does have 4 apples, so that's decent. But yeah, some players on this team are pretty inconsistent. Like they'll have a really good game or they'll have a couple of good games and then they'll just be quiet for the rest of it. So anyways, good start to the game. Let's see what happens in the second quarter and see if we can continue building up this lead. But that first game was a lot closer so far. But we're still trying to obviously make sure that they can't claw back into this game. But I feel like at some point this game will be close again. Just the way this series is. But so far we're still holding on to that 10-point lead. It's a bit of a low-scoring second quarter up to this point in time. So I expect the offense to start picking up here soon as we're almost up by 20 points. Wow. Okay, we're definitely learning our defensive game a lot better in this one, seems like. Was not expecting us to build up this big of a lead at any point, because I expected it to be a lot closer like last game. As, yeah, they're definitely having a bit of a tough time against us here in the early going. And at the end of the first half, it will be 76-46. My God, we outscored them 37-16 in that second quarter. And we're up by 30 points already. Well, this is definitely a really strong defensive game. 16 points allowed in a quarter is absolutely great to see. So our perimeter defense is working really well against them. And if we look at the box score, Carroll's dropped 25 points already. So yeah, he's doing what Rex did last game. Evans is on 13. Bishop's already on 9. Same with Rex on 8 and Semenko on 8. We're getting our depth scoring that we were during the season. Westbrook's still kind of having a bit of a quiet start to this round, but it is okay. I'm liking the way this team's playing. Okay. At halftime, we are shooting 60% from field goal range, 38% from three-point, and 76% from the free throw line. So even though we haven't been super great at the free throw line, we are still doing really good in terms of everything else. So this team is on cruise control. We're up by 30, which basically means we need to fall absolutely apart if we're going to lose this game, I think. But obviously, we need to have a good third quarter here still, too, because if they even pull back within 15 or something like that going into the fourth, they could still come back and win. So we can't be sitting back in this game. We got to keep it on. Keep it on. So third quarter underway, up by a lot of points. Let's see if we can continue to build on this. And if guys like Rex are going to continue picking up a lot of points, if Carroll's going to continue off his good start to this game. But this game has been completely different than the first one. Like I said, I expected after that first game for this entire series to be close, but so far that has not been the case. This one has been an absolute rout, which is not what I was expecting. But they are outscoring us in this third quarter, but we're at least keeping it close where it doesn't really make an impact in terms of the actual game itself much. But yeah, we're already over 100 points going into the fourth quarter. 114-76. My God, how much point differential is that? That's almost 40 points, right? Yeah, I guess that's almost 40 points because technically 30 points would be 106. So yeah, we're almost up by 40 points on the Rockets, which means we're on cruise control at this point in time. So far, Carroll's dropped 31 points. Evans is on 22. Then you see Rex on 16, Bishop on 13, Goodwin on 11, Semenko on 10. All of our starting guys or our top 7 players are almost on 10 points, which is basically how it was during the season. Like, we don't really have to care if Carroll, Lloyd, and Bridges put up points. We just have to care if our starters and our top 7 guys actually perform. Because we probably have some of the best depth scoring in the entire NBA, and that's why this team is so successful. So, with that said, let's get into the fourth quarter. We pretty much know that we're going to win this game, so we might as well just jump into it and see how these players finish off in terms of points. I could turn up the sim speed, but I'd prefer just to keep it slow just because it kind of makes it a little bit more entertaining to see if any teams go on any runs or anything like that. But yeah, what a game. What a game. I mean, both these games have been on home court, so I'm kind of curious how we're going to play once we're actually in Houston. I feel like Houston's definitely going to be better on their own court, but maybe not. Maybe we'll find a way to route them in those type of games as well. But this is an absolute shit show for the Rockets. As at the end of this game, we are going to win by the final score of 138-107, which means a 31-point win. A 38.1 win. They won the fourth quarter, but we kind of obviously probably played our bench guys in that last little bit, I would assume. But in terms of the box score, Carroll dropped 31 points. We had Bishop on 23. Wow. I didn't expect Bishop to drop 23. I guess he had a really good fourth quarter too. But yeah, Bishop's usually not a huge point getter, averages around 10 points a game. So for him to pick up a lot of points, also grab almost 10 rebounds is nice. Evans had 2 points, 8 boards. Rex had 18 points, 8 boards, 8 assists. Rex is still awesome. Semenko on 13. We had Goodwin on 13 in his first game back. Westbrook on 12. So yeah, our top 7 guys all over 10 points. And of course, Lloyd, Carroll, and Bridges didn't do much. Bridges played the most minutes of those bench options, but he really didn't do anything. He did pick up a couple rebounds and a couple assists, but in terms of points, nothing. Team comparison-wise, we shot 53% on field goals, 36% at three-point shots, and 84% from the free throw line. So a lot of good work there. And then in terms of rebounding, we out-rebounded them offensively and defensively, so that's pretty huge. Because Lydon usually is a huge rebounder, so he's probably the only one other than Mobley that would rebound, I guess, a ton, right? Yeah, Lydon only had 9 rebounds this game, and he only had 24 points, so that's probably a little bit of a low game for him. Furphy dropped 17 in 19 minutes off the bench, damn, maybe they should have played him a lot more. But looks like they got some bench scoring, but not as much as you'd hope for. Like Shepherd, 7 points in 33 minutes. Like, that's why I'm glad that our team at least, like, literally all our starters pretty much outperformed their main starter in Lydon, and also, I guess, technically Mobley. So, a very strong game, and we've taken a 2-0 series lead headed to Houston, which is really, really good to see. So, let's simulate up to that next game, and I will see if I need to make any adjustments to the minutes, which I don't think I need to. Because, yeah, now Goodwin's fully healthy, which is great. He was playing a little bit banged up in that last game, but not fully. But looks pretty good. I would like to get somebody like Washburn, Olivero, Anderson, and Morgan playing time in the playoffs, but at this point, we have such a great team that we might as well just kind of keep it like this. So, I think we're going to keep it the same going into Houston, as this team's been really dominant so far. New Orleans is currently up 3-0 on Dallas, so that's kind of good that Dallas might get eliminated early, but if we do get to the next round against New Orleans, it means we would have to face off against Richie Solomon, because last year, when we played New Orleans in the playoffs, Richie Solomon was currently injured, so that's going to be an interesting series if we do have to play out against the Pelicans, because Carroll and Solomon were like the 1-2 pick, or the 2-3 pick, I think, one season, so that's kind of neat. Aside from that, Utah's up 2-1 on Golden State. Minnesota's up 2-1 on San Antonio, I think, despite Anthony Edwards, I'm pretty sure, being injured is what I saw earlier. Philadelphia's up 2-1 on Detroit. Miami's up 3-0 on Toronto. Milwaukee is down 2-1 to Cleveland. And Washington's up 2-1 on Brooklyn. All right. Pretty much mostly what you expect, except for Cleveland being up on Milwaukee, I guess. That's like one of the only lower seeded teams, I guess, other than Utah winning right now. Usually there's an underdog story, but it looks like most of the lower seeded teams are actually losing games. So, anyways, with that said, let's get to some games in Houston and see if we could take a 3-0 series lead here. And hopefully we could build off a really good start to the series where we've been getting a lot of scoring from every single player that matters the most. So, first quarter underway in Houston. Like I said, I expect them to be a little bit tougher against us on their home court, but it would be nice to see if our team could play really good on the road as well. But usually after the first quarter, we have had one guy run away with the points for our team. So I'm kind of curious on who that's going to be in this game. Because the first game it was Rex, the second game it was Carroll. Will it be more of the same, or will it just be more good depth scoring in this one? As we are winding down this first quarter, it's a pretty damn close game. And at the end of one, if this is going to continue to finish here right around now, up a couple of free throws, it looks like, and it's going to be 23-20 after the first quarter. So we do have the lead only by 3, so definitely a closer quarter than last game. Carroll's already dropped 12 points again. Looks like Carroll has definitely learned from his first game mistakes. Like I said, he fouled out in that first game, didn't have really good stat lines, but now he has definitely come alive. Goodwin's been effective off the bench, 4 points in 5 minutes, and Rex and everybody else is 3 and below, but it looks like we're not really getting crazy depth scoring early on. We have usually one guy run away with it, but then our depth scoring starts to improve as the rest of this game goes on, which is huge. So, decent start, but not as strong as last game. Like I said, I expect Houston to play better in front of their fans, so let's get to the second quarter and see if we could have the lead after the first half, potentially. Second quarter underway. Let's see if we could get some more insurance and build up a huge lead like last game. Like, when we were up by 30, it made it a lot easier to breathe, of course, but this is the type of game that's like game one, where both teams kind of trade the lead, it seems like. As now they're starting to build up a bit of a lead. This might be their biggest lead of the series, which is not ideal, as we're almost down by 10 points. So we need to keep on fighting here. We can't let them get too far ahead of us, or else it's going to be a huge hill to climb in a second, potentially. As we're winding down the second quarter, we are starting to claw back in at the end of the first half. We're going to actually have the lead. All right, 52-51 it was, but we did get a 3 to start the third. But that's good. That was a good little rally near the end, as they outscored us technically in that second quarter, but not by much. And then so far in terms of points, Rex has got 16 now, so Rex is coming alive. Semenko and Carroll are both on 12 points. Carroll's already on 4 fouls, and same with Semenko throughout the first half. That's not ideal. Those guys are probably going to be benched for a little bit, I would assume, which means Westbrook, Goodwin, Evans has only got 2 points. Wow. Evans needs to step up here in the second half. Same with Bishop, especially with major guys being on the bench, because they're likely going to foul out. We need big stuff. Bishop's already got 4 fouls as well, so there is a couple of guys that are in foul trouble early on, which is not great. And right now, we are shooting better in terms of field goal percentage and three-point wise, and I guess technically free throws, but they've had a lot more trips to the free throw line than us, which I kind of expected with the foul trouble, as they've had 26 free throws already. We've only had 4. That's kind of crazy. Seems like home court advantage, in my opinion, for the refs, but at least we're winning. Let's see what happens in this third quarter and see if we can find a way to build up a big lead, and hopefully those big players that are in foul trouble, hopefully they play a little bit more disciplined as this game goes on. But let's build up a big lead if we can here, because this game definitely is similar to game 1 in a way. But at least we have a little bit of a lead here. Looks like we're going to build up a 10-point gap, which is great. It looks like we are still hanging pretty close, though, with them. But we are still trying to make sure we run away as much as possible, because we know that they have that offense in them, that they could come back in games. As all of a sudden it's less than a 10-point game, we are still trying to make sure we hold them off, at least going into the fourth quarter. And at the end of 3, it's going to be a 94-85 lead. That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. It's a 9-point gap. That's actually kind of nice. It's a little bit of a breathing room, but still a lot of game left. Rex has already dropped 21 points. We have Semenko and Carroll on 15 and 14. Goodwin's on 12, same with Westbrook. Evans is on 11, so it looks like he's coming alive a little bit. And then Bishop's on 5. But we still have some really good depth scoring with our top 7, of course. But foul trouble-wise, Carroll's on 5 fouls, so if he gets one more foul in the fourth quarter, his night is done. Bishop is already fouled out after 18 minutes. That's not ideal, considering he's our main big man, because we need somebody to rebound against Lydon, of course. So that's not great that Bishop's already out of the game, but I guess technically that will give more playing time maybe to Carroll, the other one, because he does rebound a bit. But hopefully this Carroll doesn't foul out as well, because or else that's going to hurt a lot. So hopefully we can play a little bit more disciplined. Like I said, I don't like our guys getting fouled out. A couple of years ago, foul trouble was definitely our main problem with this roster. So it kind of has been a little bit of an issue in this playoff so far. But fourth quarter underway. Let's see if we could build up this lead more. Obviously, it's only a 10-point gap, so they are still close, as they are starting off really well in this fourth quarter, the Rockets, which is not great, as it's only like a couple possession game. We're trying to make sure to hold them off, though. And all of a sudden, it is a tie game, but we get that lead, then they get the tie game back again. And we're going to have to slow down assimilation. We're up by 3 points here with 4:09 left. Let's actually go down, and let's keep it on normal sim speed for a little bit longer. Once we get to the final minute or so, we'll probably go down even slower sim speed. We're up by 6 points. Looks like we're making some good headway here these last 2 minutes, but they are still keeping close. We're up by 7 points. All right, maybe we have a bit enough of a gap, but let's see. We're into the final 2 minutes, down in the home stretch. Okay, we're almost up by 10 points. We're up by 7 points with a full minute to go. It does say 60 seconds, which is kind of funny. But we should be good with a minute left to be up by 7. We should be, but who knows? Let's see what happens here. Okay, now we're almost up by 10. Yeah, we have this game in the bag, I think. Yep, the Ice Tigers are going to take a 3-0 series lead as we win the first game in Houston, which is huge, as we outscored them 37-34 in that fourth quarter and win by a total of, I guess, 12 points, which is pretty good. So not as strong as last game, but definitely strong enough. That third quarter was a big one where we dropped 42 points, of course. And then in terms of the box score, Evans dropped 28 points. So Evans went from 2 points, I think, at halftime to 28 points at the end of the game. So Evans definitely stepped up huge. Wright dropped 26 points. Westbrook on 21. Those guys didn't foul as much, of course. Semenko on 18 points. He had 5 fouls, so he almost fouled out, but didn't. And then Carroll did foul out with 6 fouls in 33 minutes. At least he played 33 minutes, though. Goodwin had 12 points. And then Bishop had 5, of course, because he fouled out quite early. But in terms of our starters, other than Bishop, everybody else was really, really solid. So, yeah, that's the one thing, like I said, though, is we need to make sure that we don't foul out as early. Like, Bishop should have been in the entire game, or most of the game, but he fouled out at halftime, basically, I think it was. So, but in terms of field goal percentage, we shot 54%. Three-point percentage, we were a little bit better at 39%. And in free throws, we were better at 86%. Looks like we got more free throws, obviously, as the game went on. Probably because they intentionally fouled us. But that is a pretty solid game down. 56 points from points in the paint. So some maybe good work on the offensive rebounds, I guess. Not really. They out-rebounded us, I guess, technically on offense. But we out-rebounded them defensively by a little bit. So interesting game there. but we ended up winning it. Our biggest lead was 14 points, but obviously it dropped down to 12 points at the end of the game, I guess, around. So there it is. 3-0 series lead. So I expected the series to be maybe a little bit closer in a way. Obviously, there's been a couple close games, but I expected the Rockets to actually give us a little bit of a problem, but so far it seems like they haven't been, which is kind of nice because, like I said, the Rockets did make some big moves in the offseason. They brought in Mobley and all that, so I expected them to actually kind of hurt us a little bit and win some games, but so far, our team has been absolutely electric, so we're really liking the way this team's been performing for the most part. Obviously, now we look to sweep them and get ourselves to that second round again. I think this team should definitely be able to get past any team almost at this point, but there are some really good teams out there that we've never faced against, like Golden State. I honestly have no idea who's on that team at this point, so with that said, I think we're ready to keep the team the same, and we're ready for Game 4. As the only team that's moved on so far is the Miami Heat, as they took out Toronto via sweep. So Miami will play the winner of Detroit-Philadelphia, I guess, in round 2. So with that said, let's get to Game 4 and see if we could sweep the Rockets and get ourselves to that second round. We're likely going to take on New Orleans, but it could be Dallas still too. And regardless, it's going to be a team we've played before. But first quarter underway. Back in Houston again, looking to give another win for our roster. And like I said, so far in every game, there's been one player that's really stepped up big time for us. So I'm expecting it to be maybe not as crazy this game, but they're starting to build up a huge lead early on, the Rockets. So they're definitely a little bit angry at us, but we're still trying to make sure that they don't get too far, as we are definitely clawing back into this after a good little surge, it looks like. Early on in this one, at least. But we are giving up a little bit more points than I like in this first quarter, but I did expect the Rockets to give us a little bit of a push here at some point in time. And at the end of the first, it'll be 40-32. So I don't like giving up 40 points in a quarter, but at least we're within 8, so it's not like a crazy huge lead for them. But yeah, this start is a little bit more balanced, I would say. Obviously, like I was just mentioning, basically, usually we have a guy that's leading the way by a long shot. But at the end of the first, it's Goodwin and Bishop with 11 and 10. So both those guys have been kind of not necessarily the biggest players in the series, but really good start for those two. Cement goes on 5, and then Carroll, Wright, Westbrook are on 2 points. Nothing so far from Evans, which is kind of surprising again. So even though technically we're down by 8, if Evans, if Carroll, if Westbrook, if if Wright step up, those 4 guys, if those guys all of a sudden take their play to the next level, we could easily get back into this game, which I'm expecting, because I don't think they're going to have a game where they only drop like 4 points. Most of those guys drop at least 10 points a game, so I expect our team to come alive hopefully in the second quarter and hopefully find a way to tie it up or something like that, at least by halftime. So second quarter underway. Can we find a way to have a good offensive quarter here and maybe get some more scoring from some guys that were a little bit quiet in that first quarter? So far, we're not giving up really anything, and we're back within 3 points. We're going on a pretty good run here, as we have tied the game up, and now we've taken the lead, but now it's back and forth, of course. But this has been a really good start to the second quarter for us. We're barely giving up points, but we're not scoring a lot either. Kind of a defensive quarter for both teams at this moment. But we are trying to run away with some points here. We're definitely outscoring them, and at the end of the first half, it's going to be 60-57, so we built up ourselves a 3-point lead. So that's a really good defensive quarter again for our team. We've had a couple of quarters like that in the series where we've given up barely anything. This one we outscored them 28-17, so pretty low scoring by comparison, of course, to that first quarter. And like I said, we have that 3-point gap going into the third. So Goodwin's dropped 13 points, Bishop's on 12. Westbrook's now up to 9, Semenko's on 7, so those guys are coming alive a little bit. Carroll's on 5, which is not necessarily the best. Wright's on 5. Lloyd's on 5 off the bench, but still Evans has no points in the first half. You know he's going to have a really big second half. He's not the type of player to go quiet for an entire game. Like, he'll find a way to at least drop 15 points in the second half, my guess. But he does have 5 rebounds and 4 assists, but he's got 4 fouls already, so maybe he's getting in a little bit of foul trouble. But if he doesn't drop a single point in this game, I'll actually be quite surprised because, like I said, he was obviously our MVP last year when we won the championship. He was the MVP during this year's season. Like, he's definitely the type of player that should step up in key moments. Aside from that, though, we are outplaying them in pretty much every area, except for three-point percentage. I guess they're tiny a little bit better, and free throws. How are we rebounding against them? 13 and 15, they got 5 and 8, so we're doing better work on the glass, I guess, right now at halftime. All right. Well, it's a close game. It's anybody's game, of course, but I need some of those guys that have been quiet, like Evans, to hopefully have a good second half here. Hopefully he doesn't foul out, because that'd be kind of bad. So, third quarter underway. Let's get some more points on the board. Because that was a good second quarter defensively. Let's hopefully play good defensively in the rest of this game as well, as it's a close game now. It's only like a couple points advantage. This is going to be one of those games that come down to the wire, potentially like game 1, like game 3 kind of. They grabbed the lead, but we got back to a tie game again. Yeah, this is going to be a close one right down to the wire, I feel like. As the Rockets go on a little bit of a run of their own, but we're making sure that we still at least stick within 4 points. All right, this is going to be an interesting one that probably comes down to basically how teams play in the fourth. As we're down by 4 points headed into the fourth, 83-79 for the Rockets. Not a great offensive quarter for us in that third. We got outscored 26-19. So, yeah, that second and third quarter was definitely not what I expected. I expected it to be more offensive for both teams, but so far it's been kind of like a little bit of a stalemate type of game. Box score-wise, Goodwin and Bishop are both on 14 points apiece. Bishop's already got 12 rebounds, but he's got 5 fouls, which is not great. Semenko's already got 5 fouls as well on 13 points. Westbrook's got 11 points. And then, of course, Rex is down here on 5, which is not great. Carroll's only dropped 7. And then Evans has only got 3 in 23 minutes, and he's on 5 fouls as well. Same goes with Rex. So we are definitely in foul trouble, and that's probably why this game is in the favor of the Rockets right now. We have 4 guys that could foul out. And obviously they're our best players, or some of our best players. And that's probably how they're winning this game, is trips to the free throw line. Yeah, that's definitely probably why. They're 30 for 4 for 40. Geez, that's weird to say. And we're 14 for 21. So, yeah, we got to be better in terms of playing disciplined in this fourth quarter, because I don't want our top guys to foul out going into this fourth quarter at all. Because if any of those guys foul out, or all of them foul out, of course, then we're not going to win this game. We're within 4, so we could definitely still win, but we got to play disciplined and hopefully hit some clutch shots. Let's see what happens in this fourth quarter, see if we could get back to an even game or grab that lead, as they're starting to make a run to start this fourth quarter, but we're making sure that they don't really get too much of a ground on us. We're trying to stick with them. As we're getting late into this one, we're still down by like 5 points, though, which is not ideal. We're down by 3. All right, can we tie this game up potentially? No, they get a couple more points. Let me put this sim engine speed down to slow, as they're up by 6 here late in the game, by 7. Can we pull back in a couple points? Oh, man, we're not playing good enough defensively, I feel like, to win this one, but we are still in this game by only 2 possessions. It's only a 5-point game now. It was a 3-point game briefly. As we're deep in on slow simulation just to see if anything crazy happens. They have an 8-point gap now. We're not playing the best here in these last few minutes. Come on, guys. Come on. We're still in this game. We're within 3 with 41 seconds to go. We're 3-3. Should I jump in and watch? You know what? I think we will. I like jumping into these close games. I know we're technically maybe going to lose this game, but it's kind of fun to jump in. 41 seconds. If we could hit a 3-point shot, obviously this game could still go to overtime and all that. So let's jump on in and watch it, because why not? Why not? Kind of fun just to see if we could find a way to have some clutch late game heroics again. Looks like the Rockets will have the advancement with the ball, though. So we'll see if we could get the possession of this ball back. Obviously, we don't have to intentionally foul here. You just got to hope that they miss, and then hopefully we can find a way to tie this one up if we don't give them anything here. Shepard tries to drive in. Carroll's on him. They dig it out to Grant. Grant's trying to look for a pass as we're right on him. Johnson over to Shepard for 3, and he hit it. How did he hit that? Damn, that's a clutch 3. That might be it of the game at this point. Maybe I shouldn't have jumped in. That was a quite quick 3. All right, as our team takes a timeout, down by 6 with 22 seconds left. So we got to hit a quick 3, foul them, hit another 3. I don't even know if our team's going to find a way to come back in this one, but like I said, I did expect the Rockets to give us a bit of a trouble, and I do think they definitely still have it in them to win some games. So this series might be far from over, or we might find a way to obviously win next game on home court, but let's see what we can do on this inbound. as Bridges is out there. So somebody definitely fouled out because Bridges would never play in this type of situation. Bridges throws it in to Lloyd. Lloyd throws it to Westbrook. He can't hit it. Mobley gets the rebound, and there's the intentional foul. As unfortunately Westbrook missed that shot, or else obviously we could have been back within a couple of points again. But Mobley's going to go to the free throw line. But yeah, the fact that Lloyd and all that are out there, which definitely means a couple key players have already fouled out. And that's probably the reason why we're going to lose this game, because now we're down by 7. So yeah, this game's over at this point. Down by this much. Unless this team finds a way to hit some crazy threes in these last little bit, I don't think there's a way we're going to drop like that many points in such a short span. But we still might as well watch it just so we can kind of see our boys out there a little bit. But yeah, Houston's definitely a tougher looking team than their seed. Here's Westbrook again trying to drive in. Westbrook almost looked like he went out of bounds. He's got it in the paint. He doesn't even shoot it. What the hell, man? Bridges will shoot for 3 and he'll miss. I don't know why Westbrook didn't shoot being in that close to the paint, but that's going to do it for this game, which means we are going to be going to a game 5 as the Rockets will not get eliminated by us. So we do not pull off the sweep, but we'll go back to our home arena looking to hopefully bounce back after a tough loss. That's okay. That's okay. We expected, like I said, them to get some points, and I think we got into foul trouble in this one. Westbrook dropped 21 points. Bishop dropped 16. Wooden went on 14. 13 from Semenko and Lloyd. But, wow, Lloyd had 13 in 15 minutes. Actually, really impressive. Really impressive off the bench. But if we look at, like, the foul situation, yeah, Wright, Evans, Bishop, and Semenko all fouled out. So, our 4 best overall players, I think, fouled out. Bishop fouled, Wright only fouled out on 5 points. Evans dropped only 9. So, a couple of big major players didn't really do that well in that game, and they fouled out, and that's the reason why we lost that game, I'd say. So, that's a tough loss, but it is what it is. Hopefully, next game's a little bit better than that, of course, but we did expect him to win probably at least 1 game. So, let's see what we need to do in terms of our minutes. It said to give less minutes to Carroll, but I don't really know if there would be anybody I'd want to give minutes to on this team that drastically needs it. So I think I'll keep it like this, but I really hope that our team doesn't have guys foul out again, because this is a game that I need to win, or else we go back to Houston again in game 6, and Houston's tough building the play-in. Of course, as Dallas has made it a good series with New Orleans, they're looking to force a game 6 as well, or actually technically a game 7, I guess. Utah's up on Golden State now. Looks like a lot of these series are actually closer. There's only one confirmed series for next round, and it's Philadelphia and Miami. So, of course, Philadelphia is going for another championship. Obviously, last year they lost in the conference finals. So, with that said, let's get to this game against the Rockets again, because obviously this episode is going to be a little bit longer since we jumped into last game. But let's see if we can find a way to eliminate them on our home court. Last game was kind of disappointing in some ways, but let's see if we could build up a huge 30-point gap or something again so we could breathe easy. Let's see what happens. First quarter underway. Come on, boys. And don't foul out. Just stay disciplined. Don't make stupid plays. Build up a huge lead like you're kind of trying to do here early on already, but it's not working out fully. As the Rockets go on a little bit of a run, which makes this game close again. And of course, now they have the lead. Yikes. That was a really bad little stretch where we didn't pick up points for a while. But at least it's still a close game, but I don't like having periods of time where we don't pick up points, as they are trying to build up a huge lead here. And at the end of the first, they might be up by 10 points. They are going to be up by the total of 10 points. Yep, 34-24. Yikes. We might have to make some adjustments in terms of our rotation or how we play. But Rex has already dropped 10 points, which is good considering last game he wasn't huge. Goins on 9, Carroll's on 5. But we need Semenko, we need Evans, we need Bishop to get more going. And it looks like we're getting maybe into a bit of foul trouble early on as well, because technically already we have 4 players on 2 fouls after the first quarter only, and a bunch of guys on 1. So I think our team is getting a bit too carried away with chasing that ball, because yeah, they've already had 21 trips to the free throw line after the first quarter, which is not good. So yeah, we need to be more disciplined. We're kind of like playing like we did a few years ago where we just took too many. So let's find our discipline in the second quarter, and let's make this game close again. Second quarter underway. But yeah, I don't really like, obviously, us fouling a lot of people, because that's how we end up losing games, is we end up giving up a lot of free passes to get points, and they're up by a lot right now. which is not great. Like, we're going to have a really big second quarter here. And like, our top guns haven't been necessarily playing the best either, but maybe they're starting to, because this game is getting a little bit closer than it was earlier, as it's only a couple possession game now. We just got to find a way to defend, of course, and this game's close again. It's very close at the end of halftime. It will be 54-52. Okay, that's a good second quarter. Early on, it looked like we were going to maybe come back, and then we slowed down a bit, and then we came back again, and now it's a 2-point game. We outscored them 28-20, so that's definitely a great response. Another good defensive quarter. As Rex is on 16 points, we have Goodwin on 11, same with Carroll. Evans is on 9. Everybody else is 3 and below, though. I need more from Westbrook. I need more from Bishop. I need more from Semenko. But looks like there has been still some foul trouble a little bit. Because, yeah, Carroll and Semenko are on 4 apiece. We have Rex, Evans, and Westbrook on 3. So, need those guys to stay disciplined in the second half. And hopefully, we continue to get some good scoring from some of our top guys. But we're down by only 2 points, so we can't let them get away with it. We're outscoring them in terms of field goal percentage, but they've beaten us in the 3-point game so far. And in free throws, we're doing better than they are, but they've had so many trips to this free throw line. They've had 28 in the first half. We've only had 15. So, like I said, we got to play better in terms of discipline, but hopefully we can find a way to hit some more threes, take that lead in the third potentially. Third quarter underway. Come on, boys. We've been chasing this game for a while, but we've been getting back into it. Just got to find a way to, obviously, like I said, not give them free throws. Because their free throws is where they're going to get their points. Rebounds are where they're going to get their points. And we're building up a pretty good lead all of a sudden. So, really good the last 2 quarters has gotten us up by a decent chunk here. So much so that we're trying to get up to at least like more than a double-digit lead. Actually, not more than a double-digit lead, but almost more than a 20-point lead. But that won't be the case. We're going to be up 91 to basically with 77, but they hit the first 2 points of the fourth quarter. But a huge lead has been built up because we outscored them 39-23 in that third. So the first quarter was not necessarily great, but the second and the third quarter have definitely been a lot better to build up this lead. And we're getting our depth scoring that we were in those big games early on in the season. Wright and Goodwin on 22 apiece. Evans is on 14. We have Semenko, Carroll on 11. Westbrook's on 7. Bishop's only on 2. But, yeah, our main starters other than Bishop have been really good in this game. And then if we go in terms of fouls, Carroll's already fouled out already, which is not ideal going into the fourth. But at least it looks like some of our other guys are doing okay. Evans is close to fouling out, which is a bit scary, so he might be benched for a bit of the fourth. Semenko's already got 4, but he shouldn't foul out, I don't think. I think the only one we're a little bit worried about fouling out is Evans, because he's been our third best scorer and he's on 5 fouls. So it does suck that Carroll is going to be watching the fourth quarter from the bench, but hopefully Evans doesn't foul anybody. And hopefully, if he does foul out, hopefully we get some good depth scoring in this fourth quarter, because we are up by a good amount, but obviously they could still come back in this game. So hopefully that's not the case. Anyways, fourth quarter underway. Let's see if we can build up a huge lead, but they are starting to come back in this a little bit. Like I said, those foul troubles are not a great thing to have, and I'm hoping that Evans didn't foul out, but we are still up by a decent chunk here. But obviously, it's still a lot closer than it was at one point. And it looks like we are holding them off defensively quite a bit here. Not giving them a lot of points as we're up by almost 10. We should have this pretty much in the bag unless we play really bad. They're outscoring us in this fourth, but we're not letting them get a ton of points. Like, they only have 21, which is not a lot. We only have 16, though. So we're playing some good defensive basketball, I'm guessing. As we wind down into these last few minutes of the game, up by 13 points. Yeah, we should have this in the bag at this point. We should have this in the bag unless we fall apart here drastically. We're up by 11. And yeah, we got this in the bag. We're up by 13. So we're going to be going to the next round, which is great, but it was a little bit scary near the end. We end up winning by 12 points total. As they outscored us in the first and fourth, we outscored them in the middle quarters. But we will be going to the next round as Simon Lydon has been knocked out. All right, that's good. That's good. I'm a little bit scared with how we played with in terms of the fouling in this playoff so far, but I am impressed that this team was able to knock out the Rockets that easily. Like I said, they were a playing round team, but I do expect them to do better next year potentially, because they do have, I think, Mobley under contract again next season too. So, But Rex dropped 27 points and 10 rebounds. We had Evans on 24, 9, and 8. He did not foul out, so he was clean in that fourth quarter, which is huge for the win, basically. Goodwin dropped 22 points. Didn't have a single foul. Goodwin seems like a pretty disciplined player, which is great to have off the bench. Semenko on 17, Westbrook on 13, Carroll on 11, but obviously he fell off after the first quarter. Bishop on 4 points, Bridges on 2, 2 from Lloyd, and nothing from the other Carroll. Washburn did play a minute, apparently, which is interesting. All right. And in team comparison, at the end of it, we shot 49%, they shot 45%. They were better in terms of the 3-ball, but in terms of free throws, looks like they missed a bit too many. They missed 7 free throws. We end up shooting better than they did. They fouled us a lot more in that fourth, I guess, too. And then from rebounding perspective, we out-rebounded them offensively and defensively. So a nice little win there for us to close them out. I did expect them to win a game, so it makes sense that they beat us in that Game 4 scenario. But we won in 5. That's all that matters. Obviously, now we're waiting the winner of New Orleans and Dallas. But first, let's take a look at our player stats from that opening round, just to see who was actually good for us and who wasn't. So in terms of points per game, right now it is Rex leading away 24 points per game. Then you have Evans on 23.4. Semenko's on 15.6. Goodwin's on 15.2, which he's been fantastic as that 7th guy. Westbrook's on 14.6. Carroll on 14.4. Bishop on 10.8. And then everybody else is below that. But you can see when you have 7 guys picking up around 10 points a game, it just goes a long way. And in rebounding, of course, it's been mostly Bishop, but also Wright's been good on the glass. A couple guys have been decent. Assists per game, it's Rex, of course, 6.6 assists per game, but Semenko there and Evans as well. Carroll's up there too. So we have a lot of guys that actually distribute quite well because these guys are all over 5 assists a game. Everybody else is like 1.8 and below. Steals, Evans is averaging 2 steals a game right now. That's pretty huge. And then blocks, 1.4 from Bishop, 1 from Carroll off the, not off the bench, that's the other Carroll, my bad. Turnovers, Rex is turning it over a lot, but he kind of plays like that, so it makes sense. Field goal percentage right now, Goodwin is shooting at 65% right now, which is great. Carroll's on 62.5, is in the bench Carroll. Evans is on 55, Rex is on 53. Looks like most guys are over 50%, except for Semenko. Westbrook is not necessarily shooting the ball the best. Shooting 39%, which is pretty damn low for a guy that's a starter. So he needs to probably improve a bit. 3-point percentage, Semenko is shooting 50%. Damn, that's really good. Evans is on 46 and Carroll's on 40%. Everybody else is 35% and below, but mostly that's right in Westbrook. So far, the bench options are not really the best in terms of shooting the 3-ball. Bishop doesn't shoot the 3-ball, I guess, really at all, because he is 0%, basically. But he's not a good 3-point shooter, of course. And then right now, in terms of free throws, Bridges has hit his only 1. Everybody's good free throw shooters, so kind of makes sense. The only one that's kind of a bit iffy, I guess, is Edward Carroll, being below 70%, but looks like we're getting some pretty good stats from that first round, and that's all that really matters, so a good first round, of course, but now we have to find out who we're going to be playing off against in the next round. Is it going to be New Orleans and Richie Solomon, or is it going to be Cooper Flagg and Dallas once again? Let's simulate through that game, and it will be New Orleans again. So New Orleans has taken out Dallas in the first round, so we will have basically Richie Solomon versus Everett Carroll. That's going to be an interesting matchup because, like I said, I'm pretty sure both of them are like number 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 in one of the draft classes. Last year, we didn't get to play against Solomon because of his injury. And it will be Utah facing off against who in the other matchup. Let's see. It's going to be a Game 7 between Minnesota and San Antonio. San Antonio could pull off an upset. Golden State was technically upset by Utah. But Utah was a good team, I think, last season. So Minnesota and San Antonio, it will be Minnesota moving on. So San Antonio gets knocked out in 7 games. So the Final 4 in the Western Conference will be us in New Orleans, Minnesota, Utah. And then in the East, it'll be Philadelphia, Miami, Washington, and Cleveland. So Cleveland also knocked out the 3rd seed in that East. So right now, if I'm saying any matchup in terms of who I'm guessing in the finals, it's probably going to be between us, Minnesota, and in Philadelphia, Washington for a finals. I think Miami and Cleveland, Utah don't really have a chance. I don't know if New Orleans has a chance against us or not, but I definitely think Philadelphia is obviously the favorite in the East because they've won back-to-back championships before we won our championship. And in Washington, has the best player in the league in terms of overall rating. So I definitely still think they're a favorite as well. We're obviously a favorite because we've been dominant. Minnesota is kind of a weird one as that second seed. Like, I don't know how good they are, but I definitely think they're still pretty good. All right, well, let's see what New Orleans is looking like, and then that'll be it for this episode. I guess we'll take a look at their stats and all that stuff, but we'll also take a look at how their players simulated during the season, because obviously you can't really tell based on overall how good they are, but let's see what they were working with. So first and foremost, let's just go through these other things. So 54-28 last season. This year, I don't know what their record was. We'll find that out here shortly, but defensive IQ, three-point shooting, post defense is their strengths. Agility, vertical, and dunks is their weakness. There's their head coach and all those other dudes. In terms of the season, though, so they were 50-32 this year. Last year, they were 54-28. They've been a 50-win team the last few years, a 60-win team a couple of years ago, too. They've definitely been actually really good in the simulation for most of this franchise mode so far. So that's kind of surprising. I don't think they've ever won a championship, though, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Have they won a championship? No, they've not won a championship up to this point. And then, of course, there are players. Jeremiah Fears. Fears is really good. Of course, Richie Solomon, like I said, is really good. Lonnie Swift, I remember him. Derek Queen's there. Yves Missy is there as well. Helmut Schumacher. Yeah, it's actually pretty solid. Like, they don't have a superstar, I guess, unless you count Fears and Solomon, but they definitely have a really good starting 6 players. Other than that, Jalen Williams is there, as in J-Dub, I think, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the... Or is it J-Will? No, J-Will's the big dude. J-Dub is this dude. There's also Taylor Hendricks. Where was Taylor Hendricks last year? I feel like I recognize his name. Oh, he was in New Orleans. Okay. It was in New Orleans. I thought he was on a different team. Keon Paul's there as well. Leftarius Niniatis. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Eddie A. Jackson, I remember him too. Jesse Law's there. Stacy Parks. Dave Geiger. I don't know how it's pronounced like that. Jay Armstrong's there. Donovan Blair. Freddie Woolridge. All right. I think most of their team's the same as the last time we played them, potentially. So there's that. Technically, we're rivals with them, which is interesting too. All right, so that's basically the roster, but we also got to go to the team comparison and then see who's been picking up points for them this playoff run. But I did want to go to the comparison page because I actually really like this team comparison thing. It makes it a little bit more visual to see what they compare the two teams. Like, you can see we have no weakness, but they obviously have their weaknesses. But in terms of strength, both of us are good three-point shooting teams, but they have that defensive IQ and post defense, which we don't have. In terms of matchup report, we're excellent in 5 categories. They're excellent in 4. We are great in 1. They are good in 2 of the others. So we might be able to beat them in terms of some of the things, but they're excellent in one area we're only great at, but we are excellent in an area that they're good at. So I think we should be able to beat them based on that. Did we lose them during the regular season? I wrote down all the teams we've lost to. No, we never did. No, we never did. So we beat them in all the regular season matchups, I guess. Looks like the last one was 124-110. And in the projected lineups, as you can see, we are definitely a lot better than they are. Technically, it says... Why does it say that -2 next to Queen and Swift? Is it because we're better than them by 2 points on that? I'm not too sure exactly. But you can see during the playoffs so far, Fears is averaging 24.2 points per game and 6.7 assists, which is better than Rex Wright. But rebounds per game, Missy's averaging 8.8. Bishop outperforms him in that bite with 9.2. In terms of blocks per game, looks like Bishop's outperforming Missy again. And steals per game, Evans is getting outperformed by Lonnie Swift, who's averaging 3 steals a game this playoffs. Damn, that's impressive. Stat ranks so far. This is during, I think, is it during the regular season or playoffs? It must be during the regular season. But you can see we are first in points. They're in 9th. Points allowed, they're 18th. It says we are 27th, maybe. Yeah, I think so. I'm not too sure exactly if this is playoffs or not, but you can see a little comparison if you want to. And in terms of the shot chart, looks like they're pretty good from, like, inside the key. Yeah, they're pretty good from inside the key, I think. So there is that. All right, last thing I wanted to take a look at is basically where most of their offense is coming from. Because I know that it was Fears, it said, but I'm curious on some of their other players as well. So terms of the Pelicans during this playoff run right now, yeah, it's right now Fears with 24.2 points per game. Richie's averaging 21.3. And like I said, Richie was drafted 3rd overall in 2027. Carroll was drafted number 2. We had a choice to take Richie Solomon, but we didn't. He's been a really good player for them. Like I said, last year, obviously, he had some injury concerns, but he's been back this season and been really good. You can see his ankle's actually in a red area, so if he gets injured again, his career could be pretty much toast at that point. So for his sake, I hope that doesn't happen, because that would be absolutely detrimental for the Pelicans. But anyway, Schumacher's averaging 20 points per game, so they have 3 guys on over 20 points per game, which is actually kind of impressive. Queen's on 12.7. He's currently injured. He's currently injured with a pinched nerve in the back for 1 to 2 weeks, so that's actually quite a huge win for us in that sense. And then Lonnie Swift is out with a strained left hip for 4 to 6 weeks, which is also huge. So they do have 2 major injuries to their starters, basically after last game. Looks like they got injured in that last game of the playoffs too, which is huge for us. But I mean, Jalen Williams is good at some points, but not so much anymore, because I guess, how old is he? 35. You have Keon Paul there as well. But the fact that they lost some guys that are their starters in Game 6 is huge for us. These 2 guys will not be back this entire series. I mean, there's a chance I guess Queen could return, because it's only 1 to 2 weeks, but Swift is out for the entire round. So once again, they have injury troubles, the Pelicans, which means we're going to be going up against Fears, Solomon, Schumacher, who are all really good though. And then likely, I guess, Jalen Williams is a starter again. And then probably there's Missy's definitely a starter too. I'm not too sure who else would be a starter. Maybe Paul. I think we still should be able to beat them. Like, they're definitely not going to be as strong with those guys. Like, I don't think I could take a look at their rotation, right? Actually, if I go... Oh, maybe that's why it said the minuses and stuff like that. Let me go back to the team comparison thing again, because I think it actually might show their actual lineup, and I just didn't take that into account here. No, it still says Lonnie Swift and Derek Queen, so I'm not too sure why it says them there, because maybe their injuries are playable. I wonder if they're... Yeah, I guess technically because it's in yellow, that's playable injuries, so they might actually be playing those guys still, despite them being hurt. Yeah, they might be actually able to play with a pinched nerve and a strained left hip. Like, if they're actually playing those dudes, that's going to be pretty crazy, but we should be able to still beat them. If those guys get re-injured and stuff like that, they're absolutely screwed, but they might actually be playing them against us because they have no choice, really. So, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft Glory MyNBA. So, in next episode, we'll take it to the second round against the New Orleans Pelicans for the second consecutive year, I think, because last year was round 2 as well. So, should be interesting to see if this team could get to a conference finals again. Obviously, there's some really good teams in the mix still, so I'd say we're still obviously a favorite, but if we have to go into a finals against Philadelphia or Washington, I feel like it's going to be definitely a tougher finals than it was last year when we faced off against Charlotte. So let me know down below, and I'll see you guys next time.